Tonight's video for February 28th and March 1st, that would be Thursday night and Friday night, we're going to look at exploring leads and conclusions, really more about leads than conclusions. I just have a few comments to make. This connects back to the test review that we did in class. Remember we said that the most important sentences were your first sentence and your last sentence? Well, that's exactly what the lead and the conclusion are, your first and last sentence. Okay, let's look and see. The lead and the conclusion create a frame for your reader. Like a picture is framed, the lead and the conclusion kind of show the reader the limits of what they're going to be reading. Hemingway's quote, that prose is architecture, not decoration, means that there needs to be a good, strong structure. The architecture of any writing is the organization. We've explored ideas, exactly what you're building your piece out of. Now we're going to explore the idea of the trait of organization, which focuses on lead, order, transitions, and conclusions. All good writing has to have a frame. Just the way the same painting can look very different with a different frame, so can writing. The lead is the top of your frame, and the conclusion is the bottom of your frame. It defines where your writing begins and where it will stop, and it gives your reader an idea of your writing are going to be. It's important to connect the lead and the conclusion. The first sentence should lead inevitably to the last sentence. You should think about them as pairs, much like a bookend works. One supports the beginning and one supports the end and keeps it all in a nice, neat unit. A way of doing this is trying to find or echo an idea or an image that you open with in your conclusion. It's subtle, more subtle than saying, and this is my composition on, and it also gives the reader a satisfying end without boring them. We're going to talk more about connecting these after we've looked at leads and conclusions, but I want you to keep in mind that your first sentence needs to be related to your last sentence. This is from a book called Kitchen Confidential. It's by Anthony Bourdain. It was a memoir. Here's the first sentence of the book. Don't get me wrong, I love the restaurant business. He opens up, first of all, with don't get me wrong. So you're going to hear some things that aren't real flattering, but he opens with how much he loves the restaurant business, regardless of whether it's good or bad. Here's the last paragraph of the memoir. I'll be right here until they drag me off the line. I'm not going anywhere, I hope. It's been an adventure. We took some casualties over the years. Things got broken. Things got lost. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Look at how this last piece goes back up and connects to, I love the restaurant business. Keep this in mind as we look at the next few frames that are going to talk about lead possibilities. The first thing you want to do with your lead is capture your reader's attention. Like we said in class, your opening sets the tone for your story. It's your first impression on the reader. It gives them something to look forward to. So your lead is either going to capture your reader, it's going to bore them to death, or it's going to send them screaming to the door looking for something else to read. We're hoping for capturing the reader. I'm going to give you 4 lead strategies tonight, and I want you to think about trying these when you begin drafting in class during your work plan tomorrow. The first strategy is to appeal to the 5 senses. The sentences are how we learn to make sense out of what's around us, how things feel and sound and taste and touch. Everything we take the world in comes in through our senses. They give us the feedback that helps us know the world we live in. So using sensory detail is a really good way to pull your reader in. Here's an example from a nonfiction article called Quarterbacks Built Here, from the book called The Best American Sports Writing. Look at how your senses are evoked here. The perfectly thrown football, moving at a high rate of speed, makes a ripping sound as it leaves the hand, something between a whoosh and a mortar launch. It automatically appeals to your sense of sound. See if there isn't some way you can get taste or touch or hearing or smell into your lead. A second strategy is to pick a searing image. When we talk about something being seared, we talk about it being burned into your memory. Give your reader a visual that'll focus them right away, a searing or shocking image. This one comes again from another piece of nonfiction called Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach. If you're not sure what cadaver is, look it up. Here's the quote. The human head is of the same approximate size and weight as a rooster. I have never before had occasion to make the comparison, for never before today have I seen a human head in a roasting pan. What an image! You think that won't keep your reader reading? A third strategy is to try and make a fresh comparison. This is especially important if what you're writing about is something that your reader may not have any knowledge about. By writing similes or metaphors that compare that unknown object to something that's more accessible to them, it's a really useful way to pull them in. This comes from the book The Ubiquitous Celebrating Nature's Survivors by Jennifer Holm. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic organisms that drift through the ocean by the billions, like tiny snowflakes. While we might not have been able to imagine what a diatom was, I certainly can picture a tiny snowflake floating through the ocean, and I'm curious instead of bored and turned. A third strategy is to stack your information into lists as your lead. Sometimes when you shower the reader with information, when you just pour it onto them by packing it into lists in the first sentence or two, it actually immerses the reader, it helps them visualize your point, and it kind of keeps them reading, almost like leading them into it with a treat. This comes from the book called Mistakes That Worked by C.F. Jones. Call them accidents, call them mistakes, even serendipity. If the truth were known, we might be amazed by the number of great inventions and discoveries that were accidental, unplanned, and unintentional. They put the list in 3 short, brief sentences, and then they pile up a list of describers. A perfect example of a list lead. Tonight's video provided you with some pretty dense strategies for writing lead sentences that will catch your reader's interest and make them want to keep reading, not writing, that's my bad. Keep reading. Maybe I need to put an error in every video and give you extra credit if you can tell me what it is. I'm going to do that tomorrow. If in class you can tell me what my typo was in this video, it's worth extra points. How about that? Back to the video. Tonight's video provided you with some strategies for writing lead sentences. Try these out when you draft in class, and all of you should be drafting by now. Try 2 or 3 of these and see which one works best for the project you're working on. And also remember that these are possibilities for your essay in 10 days. Remember that the first and last sentences of any paper are the most important. Be sure that you've taken good notes on this short video using the guided notes form. If we decided to use one, I'm going to give your class a choice if they want to do guided notes or open notes. And then please post your summary online on NiceNet, conferring your class's blog. Write 1 question underneath your notes from tonight. I will be checking. Have a nice evening. And again, these notes were for Thursday night and Friday night, the 29th and the 1st. Have a good evening.